This is a reminder to myself, first and foremost. I felt like whenever I had control over my nafs, I was able to achieve a lot more in my life. Once I let go, I let my nafs take over, I follow my desires, things fall apart, man. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yes, the people, what you saying? Hope you're keeping well. Check the calendar and it was 7 days since I posted my last Q&A. Crazy time flies, subhanAllah. So I was looking to do a Q&A part 2, and as I was going through the questions, you know how much I love my coffee. I already gave Taysir a cup.
Back in.
Allahu Akbar, man.
Gives you that refreshing shot. Woke up.
As I was going through the Q&A questions, I found that I would have answered a lot of them in a similar way. I thought to myself, let's address all these questions. Most of these questions range from laziness, lack of ambition, goal setting, weak willpower, people stuck in a rut, they want to do something with their life. A few months ago, I can't remember where we were supposed to go, but showed up to the airport, usual time, 2 hours before, lined up around 20 minutes, reached the top of the line, handed over my passport. Lady scanned my passport. She said, I don't think you're on this flight. No, check, 100% I'm on this flight. And then I go and I check my actual ticket, and I was due for the next day. So my flight is scheduled the day after. And that was nasheed to my dad's ears. My dad loved that. Why? Because he's been trying to get me to visit Brother Muhammad al-Masrati for the longest time. Brother Muhammad al-Masrati had fell sick due to illness. He had cancer in his back. And he wanted me to visit him, but of course he didn't want me to just visit him, but also fundraise for him. And at the time I had special cases up to my neck. So I told him, I promise I will go and visit him and fundraise for him and do his extension. But I just need to finish the special cases that I have first, and then I will pay special attention to him. The thing is with me, I like to under promise, over deliver. My dad loves promising the world. Anyways, long story short, we showed up to the hospital. We visit Amir Muhammad al-Masrati. I regret not showing up sooner. I regret not going when my dad actually told me to go. And I posted the video on YouTube, and you can see my dad scolded me for it. SubhanAllah, the shaitan has ways to justify for you to not actually go and pursue this khair. But the thing that touched me the most, and why I'm telling you about this story, is that at the end, my dad asked him to give us a piece of advice, and he said that your time is valuable. And the Sahaba, they used to count their time with breaths. كَانُوا يَعُدُّوا فِيهَا بِالْأَنْفَاسِ. We are only but a number of breaths. You have that amount written for you, and you will not exceed a single breath over that number. That's it. And little did he know, he was coming towards the end of his life. 3 months, 4 months after that, he passed away, Allah yarham. And we're all gonna go. No one is here forever. This is the truth that nobody can deny. The mu'min and the kafir. And what we take with us to the hereafter is what matters. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu ittaqullah waltanzur nafsun ma qaddamat lighadin wattaqullah. What did we bring forth for tomorrow? What are we working towards today that we're gonna bring tomorrow into our hereafter? And we don't want to be at a point where we say, Ya laytani qaddamtu li hayati. We don't want to be at a point where we're just remembering everything and it's all regret. فَأَمَّا مَنْ طَغَى وَآثَرَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا فَإِنَّ الْجَحِيمَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى. And the one who wins in the end of the day is the one who told his nafs no. He controlled his nafs. He was able to take command of his nafs. No, oh nafs. That's not what we're going to do. This is what you have to do. And this is the same nafs that the shaitan will describe on the day of judgment. And he will stand up in speech and he will say, وقال الشيطان لما قضي الأمر إن الله وعدكم وعد الحق ووعدتكم فأخلفتكم وما كان لي عليكم من سلطان إلا أن دعوتكم فاستجبتم لي فلا تلوموني ولوموا أنفسكم. Blame yourselves. Blame your nafs. This nafs that was not purified through jihadun nafs. And that's the highest forms of purifying your nafs. Is saying, oh nafs, I know this is what you desire, this is what you want, but no. Because there's only two things. You're either going to zakki your nafs, purify it, or dassi your nafs. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا. Successful is the one who purifies it. وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. And the failure is the one who corrupts it, or dussiyat is the one who hides it in the sand. So why am I speaking about the nafs? These are all battles with willpower, with your nafs. For example, Ibn al-Qayyim, he has an entire chapter on riyadatul nafs, the sport of an-nafs. I don't want to overindulge in the halal. I'm not going to come to you tomorrow and say, hey, you slept 9 hours, that's haram. No, that's halal. We're overindulging in that every single day is going to cause your willpower to withdraw. It's going to cause you to not be able to take strong moves in which you can do something with your life. Why? Because your nafs is just going to come like, no, it's too difficult. This is too tough. Sleep in like you usually do. Overeat like you usually do. Overspeak like you usually do. The ulama of Islam, they don't make the halal haram, because that's just as bad as making the haram halal. But they say, you know what, these things that are halal, we're not going to overindulge in them. And that's technically called zuhd. I don't know what the actual English word to that. Asceticism or something. I haven't a clue. Shaykh Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, he describes it as tarku ma la yanfa'u fil akhirah, is leaving what does not benefit in the hereafter. So if I go sit down half an hour gaming, is that going to benefit me in the hereafter or not? It's not. So I'm going to leave it. That's zuhd. If you get to the point where you're saying no to a lot of the halal that you love and you love to indulge in and your soul yearns for, it'll become very easy for you to say no to the haram. And it will also become very easy for you to take your nafs to the most noble of matters. Because the most noble of matters, they're not easy. They're not easy to engage in. It's not easy for you to take your nafs there, because the majority of people can't and won't withstand these pinnacle of matters, ma'ali al-umur. The Prophet ﷺ, he says that Inna Allah yuhibbu ma'ali al-umur wa yakrahu safsafa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the most noble of matters and he hates the lowest of matters. And he ﷺ, when he was preparing the army for Mu'tah, he assigned Zayd ibn Haritha as the number 1 leader, then his cousin Ja'far radiyallahu anhu, then Abdullah ibn Rawaha. And when they went on this mission, they were not expecting to face 100,000 to 200,000 Roman soldiers. There were only 3,000, but they decided to engage anyways. And Zayd radiallahu anhu gets killed. Then Ja'far radiallahu anhu, he takes the banner of Islam with his right hand. His right hand gets chopped off. He grabs it with the left. His left hand gets chopped off. Then he gets split in half. And this is all in front of Abdullah ibn Rawaha. And Abdullah ibn Rawaha hesitates for a split second. And this hesitation is very normal. You're seeing swords clattering, spears flying, arrows piercing through armors, blood being splattered everywhere. Of course he'd hesitate for a few seconds. I'd hesitate looking down on a 3 meter, 4 meter gap before I go for a dive. He hesitates for a split second. And he was so disappointed in himself for hesitating. So he says, أَقْسَمْتُ يَا نَفْسُ لَتَنْزِلِنَّ. I swear to you, O nafs, لَتَنْزِلِنَّ, to go down and engage. مُطَاوَعَةً أَوْ لَتُكْرَهِنَّ, whether you like it or you will be forced. أَوْ لَتُكْرَهِنَّ, I will force you, O nafs, to these noble matters, to the most honorable of things, whether you like it or you don't like it, whether you're with the program or you're not with the program. مَا لِي أَرَاكِ تَكْرَهِينَ الْجَنَّةِ لَطَالَمَا كُنْتِ مُطْمَئِنَّةً إن أجلب الناس وشد الرنة إن أنت إلا نطفة في شنة. And another poem, he says, يا نفس إن لم تقتلي تموتي. If you do not die right here, if you are not martyred right here, you're going to die anyways. It's one death. And as the poet says, أوليس موتي في الحياة مرة فلما يكون ختامها استشهادية. So he was telling himself, يا نفس إن لم تقتلي تموتي. And what you wish for, what you yearned for, what you've always wanted, it's here. وما تمنيتي فقد لقيتي إن فعلتي فعله ما هديتي. If you did as they did, then you have been successful. And if you don't do what they've done, then you have been a failure. And he radiallahu anh takes the banner of Islam. He fights and fights and fights. And he kills and kills and kills until he is killed. Radiallahu anh wardah. And then after that, Khalid ibn al-Walid takes the banner of Islam. I'm sure a lot of you know the end of that story. But if you do not discipline yourself on the small things, you're going to struggle with the big things. And our time is limited in this dunya. As Ami Muhammad al-Masarati said, Sahaba kan yu'addu fiha bil anfas. his soul departed, and your soul will depart as well. الروح فيك وديعة أودعتها ستردها بالرغم منك وتسلب وغرور دنياك التي تسعى لها دار حقيقتها متاع يذهب والليل فاعلم والنهار كلاهما أنفاسنا فيها تعد وتحسب. Our breaths are counted and accounted for. Every single one of these breaths you're going to be asked about. What did you do with your life? How did you spend your time? This time that we have is limited, and you are selling it either to the dunya or you're selling it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Spend it scrolling on your phone, doom scrolling, going through brain rot, or you're going to make dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're either going to spend it with music in your ears while you're on your walk, or you have a podcast, you have a lecture, you're benefiting from something. You're either going to sell your time to the lowest of buyers, which is the dunya, or you're going to sell it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ اشْتَرَى مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ أَنفُسَهُمْ وَأَمْوَالَهُم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bought from the believers their anfus and their wealth. بِأَنَّ لَهُمُ الْجَنَّةِ. The prize is al-Jannah, paradise, the greatest of prizes for your time. And Ibn al-Qayyim, when he describes al-Jannah towards the end of his poem, he says, فَيَا بَائِعًا هَذَا بِبَخْسٍ مُعَجَّلِ كأنك لا تدري بلا سوف تعلم إن كنت لا تدري فتلك مصيبة وإن كنت تدري فالمصيبة أعظم. فيا بائعا هذا ببخس معجل. You are selling this so cheaply and hastily, like you want to get rid of it. How can I kill time? How can I get time to pass by me quick? No, I don't want time to go by quick. I want to freeze time. I want to benefit from time. I want to maximize what I do with my life. وَالْوَقْتُ أَنْفَسُ مَا عُنِيتَ بِحِفْظِهِ وَأَرَاهُ أَسْهَلُ مَا عَلَيْكَ يُضَيِّعُ. It is the most important thing that you are given responsibility over securing, over preserving, and it's the easiest thing for you to waste. Your life is important to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your life is not cheap. And this is why the Sahaba, they used to say, مَا لِي سِوَى نَفْسٍ تَعِزُّ عَلَى الشِّرَى قَدْ بِعْتُهَا لِلَّهِ وَاللَّهُ اشْتَرَى. I don't have a lot of souls, I just have one. And it's the most dearest thing to me. تَعِزُّ عَلَى الشِّرَى. I'm not going to sell it to anyone. I'm not going to sell it to any Jack and Joe that's coming by. I'm not going to sell it to the trivialities. I'm not going to sell it to the gossip. I'm going to sell it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. قَدْ بِعْتُهَا لِلَّهِ وَاللَّهُ اشْتَرَى. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says, نِعْمَتَانِ مَغْبُونٌ فِيهِمَا كَثِيرٌ مِنَ النَّاسِ كَثِيرٌ مِنَ النَّاسِ الصَّحَّةُ وَالْفَرَاغُ. These are two blessings. So notice, your sahha and your faragh, they are blessings. مَغْبُونٌ فِيهِمَا means that they're going to incur a loss. When you have a really expensive product and you come and sell it for cheap, you're maghboon. Most people won't even know until the day of judgment. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ذَلِكَ يَوْمُ التَّغَابُنِ. That is the day of taghabun. It's when people actually realize that they've incurred losses. What did I do in my life? يَا لَيْتَنِي قَدَّمْتُ لِحَيَاتِي. And then the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, كَثِيرٌ مِنَ النَّاسِ. Majority of people will incur a loss. So the small number of people who are going to capitalize on their time, capitalize on their health, they are from the upper echelon. They are from those that reach to the highest of levels. And I'm talking from a dunya perspective, I'm talking from an akhirah perspective. And by the way, when I say you're going to sell your time to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I don't mean like you're just going to be head on the floor praying 24/7. When you train, you do it for the sake of Allah. You're in the elevator, you close the weather app, you make dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're on a walk, listen to Quran, listen to a lecture, learn something new. Calling your mother, silat raham, calling your brothers, your family, helping someone in need. All of that falls into the same category. قُلْ إِنَّ صَلَاتِي وَنُسُكِي وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ لَا شَرِيكَ لَهُ. Once you've set the right intentions and you know what you need to do, you have goals, but you cannot action on them. Now you know that you need to discipline your nafs. And it's not going to be easy. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard because majority of people will incur a loss. And for you not to be in the majority, then you have to be strong in willpower. That's why the Prophet ﷺ says, الْمُؤْمِنُ الْقَوِيُّ خَيْرٌ وَأَحَبُّ إِلَى اللَّهِ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِ الضَّعِيفِ وَفِي كُلٍّ خَيْرٌ. That the strong believer is better than the weak believer. And a lot of brothers, they'll use this hadith, they'll put it on their gym reels, they'll be pumping the iron. Yeah, strong believer better than the weak believer, strong believer. But that's not what the Prophet ﷺ meant. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives these things to his servants, as he did to Talut. قَالَ إِنَّ اللَّهَ اصْطَفَاهُ عَلَيْكُمْ وَزَادَهُ بَسْطَةً فِي الْعِلْمِ وَالْجِسْمِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has increased him in knowledge and in jism. I can't make myself taller. I can't have a bigger frame, bigger rib cage. What I can do is work on my iman, work on the strength of my willpower. You're strong in your ability to say no to your nafs. You're strong in your ability to control your anger. ليس القوي قوي الصرع ولكن القوي الذي يملك نفسه عند الغضب. Mental rather than physical. And then the Prophet ﷺ, he continues the hadith, he says, وَاسْتَعِنْ بِاللَّهِ وَلَا تَعْجَزْ. Now you're strong. You have a goal. You have willpower. You've worked on it. Get moving. And ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for assistance. Seek aid from Him Jalla fi ula. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. Because this road is a road that not many can take. فَاسْتَعِنْ بِاللَّهِ. Seek aid from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَا تَعْجَزْ. You're going to feel that ghurba. You're going to feel being a stranger. You're maximizing your time in terms of dunya and akhir. You're smashing your goals left, right and center, and you're doing it fi sabilillah. You have a program for yourself. You wake up with a goal. You wake up knowing I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is not just to benefit myself, to benefit my family, to benefit my ummah. I'm not just going to eat, drink, sleep, and live like an animal. I am a human being. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me prestige. وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not create me out of play. I'm here for a purpose. And my greatest purpose is to worship Him Jalla fi ula. So I need to worship Him in the maximum way possible. I have to always have this in the back of my mind. I have to always renew my intentions. And don't expect dunya success when you're abandoning your salah. How do you expect barakah in your day if you're not praying salat al-fajr? You can't say no to your nafs to get up and make wudu and pray on time. It starts from there. بورك لأمتي في بكورها. Sleep between Isha and Fajr prayer. Fix your sleep. Fix your food. I'm going on a bit of a tangent. It's actually mad. You know what I was actually going to address in this video? I was just going to talk about oversleeping, overeating, overspeaking, because these are the main issues that people have. And time wasting. I feel like if you get over these issues, you will be able to achieve a lot in your life. And that was what I was supposed to speak about. And then I realized now that I don't know how long I'm into the video and I still haven't spoken about that. But I think it all ties into what I spoke about, guys. You know that? Because that's all about willpower. Because all these things, they need willpower. They need you to be able to control your nafs in terms of overeating. If something is presented to you, don't just eat past your limit just for the sake of eating. I'm bored, let me go eat. And the thing is with obesity is not even your looks. Okay, you're going to look hideous. You're going to have a big fat belly. True. The thing that you need to be concerned about is the fact that you have a lazy mindset. You cannot move. You cannot get out of bed. And that transpires then to oversleeping. Your body is just going to work against you. Every movement is going to be painful. You think about achieving something, doing something, and you're going to think about that physical bodily pain that you're going to go through. And just that is just going to put hurdles in front of you. That's the issue with overeating. Mentally, it drains you, it destroys you before it does anything physically. Before you actually have to even be concerned about the way you look. If you don't address that, if you don't know how to calculate your calorie intake, know your maintenance, this is something that every single one of us needs to have a basic understanding of. How much macronutrients do I need? How much protein did I take for the day? How much fats? How much carbs? Specifically proteins. If you're hitting your protein goals, you should be set. And then exercising, getting your 10,000 steps a day minimum. I'm not talking about resistance exercise. I'm talking about like the half an hour, 45 minutes of resistance training. That's also important. But at least just get moving. Because once you get up, get active, then you can actually worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a better way, first of all. Second of all, while you're training, you could do this fi sabilillah, and every single step that you take, you'll be rewarded for as well. And then once the weight's down, willpower's up, and you're able to do more of the things that you know that you should be doing that you cannot get yourself to do. And by the way, I'm talking in an abstract way because I don't know what you need to do. You know it yourself. I'm not here to tell you, oh, you need to study more. You need to work out more. You need to do another side hustle. I don't know at what position you are in your life, but you know where you are and what you need to do. But you just can't get yourself to do these things. Some people, they suffer from overspeaking. They gossip too much. They chat too much. And if they don't gossip and they don't chat, they're stuck watching these musalsalat and these aflam and, you know, and they're part of that chit chatter and they're part of that gossip and they listen to all these wasteful podcasts. And that goes into even screen time. Scrolling mindlessly. Building your brain with rot to the point where you can't even have your own thoughts. You cannot even speak from your own mind. You haven't had a moment to yourself. When was the last time you actually thought about something and came with an original idea? Because you're stuck over speaking, over indulging, over consuming. It also can be a lack of goal. You don't have a goal for yourself. And once you wake up and you don't have a goal, then it's wherever the wind blows. You're leaving no room for structure. It's all chaos. One day I feel like working, another day I don't feel like working. You need to have a structure. I don't know what you have to do, but you need to schedule it the day before and have a standard for yourself. And then if you find yourself being pulled away by a group of friends who love to speak, you sit down and you find yourself 4 or 5 hours in, you've backbitten half the country, but you need to self-reflect, have some introspection and think, okay, so-and-so is always calling me for tea, wasting my time, wasting my energy. And in the end of the day, of course, it's one of the kabair, it's one of the major sins. So you need to cut that out. Find a better circle. Abdullah ibn Mubarak, they asked him, they're like, yo, why don't you not just sit and chill with us and conversate like everyone else? Abdullah ibn Mubarak, he goes, I go and I sit down with the Sahaba. And he goes obviously through their lives and their biographies and he lives amongst them. He goes, but you guys, you sit down and you just backbite people. Why would I sit down with you guys? You know, so he had his priorities straight. Anyways, I'm speaking way too much. This is a reminder to myself, first and foremost. I felt like whenever I had control over my nafs, I was able to achieve a lot more in my life. Once I let go, I let my nafs take over, I follow my desires, things fall apart, man. And it's a constant battle. It's a battle to the grave with your nafs. It's never going to leave you. It's inclined to evil. But you can, through that sport of disciplining the nafs, to make it your own soldier. So in conclusion, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and seek His assistance in taking these steps that you need to take, in becoming more pragmatic, changing your life, having more energy, not being lazy. And if you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this hidayah, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ اهْدِنَا الصِّرَاطَ الْمُسْتَقِيمَ, guide us to the straight path, the straight and narrow path. If you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sincerely for this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide you and He will protect you. وَرَبَطْنَا عَلَىٰ قُلُوبِهِمْ إِذْ قَامُوا فَقَالُوا رَبُّنَا رَبُّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will tie on your heart even in desperate situations. As long as you have that intention, you want to do something big with your life. You don't want to be just an animal that eats, drinks, sleeps, repeats. And don't mix success with worldly success. Wallah, you can have all the money in the world. You can have all the businesses. Be the most scholarly of people. But if you do not know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and if you fail to worship Him Jalla fi ula, and do the thing that you were created to do, then you're the biggest failure. Because what's the point? You can have all of that and not do what you were created for. You've missed everything. And if you did what you were created for, but you did not have the flashy businesses, the money, the cars, the scholarly attributes, then what have you missed? You've missed nothing. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.
Allahu Akbar, man. Is that the French press, yeah? ياخذ بي فضلك.
عادي.
الصينيين بتاع نف. من وين هذه؟
والله ماني عارف، من اثيوبيا ولا مش عارف من وين.
لا هذه من موزمبيق يا رجل. back in.
الله أكبر.
Gives you that refreshing shot. صح صحيح.